Oh,
So
I need to open up my notes. The notes. The synopsis is fairly, it's really all I did. Which this was so neat. So they have the freaking crawl at the beginning of every issue, right?
Yep.
So I found a website that had the crawl, and I just copied and pasted the crawl. And then now granted it was repeated like 2 or 3 times, that like the first 2 or 3 paragraphs were always repeated, but then the last paragraph like caught you up on what happened on the last issue. So I just deleted some of that, pasted it all together. So most of what I've got here is basically the crawl from every issue stapled or stitched together in one big synopsis of the story, and then the final issue. So
I only have one crawl because I have the trade paperback.
Oh, well then, some of this stuff, well, you read the issues, so none of it's going to be really revelatory to you, sir.
I mean, any hidden gems here?
No, I don't think so. Matter of fact, there's some of it I had to kind of add because they really don't give you, they don't go in depth. Of course, it's the freaking Star Wars crawl. But all right, well, let's get this party started.
Let's get it started here. Let's get retarded in here.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Are you ready to get retarded?
Retarded. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Source Material. My name is Jesse Starcher. And wow, it has been a long evening already. It's been a long day for me today. And I know it's been a long day for Mark Radulich as well. He hears the bed calling. So we're not going to be making this a long, drawn out ordeal tonight. Ronnie Adams is trying to join the call. He may pop in here. You never know. He may get stuff figured out on his end, and he may pop in here later this evening as we discuss a book that came out. I think I had it listed as 2016. Boy, now I'm upset because I usually write that stuff down. But Mark, you got the hard copy in front of you?
Starcher laying down on the job again.
Yeah, I know who wrote and drew the book. And then you'd think I would write down the year of this book. So this is Han Solo, came out from Marvel.
I'm Han Solo.
I want to say it was 2016, but for some reason 2014 sticking out in my head now.
Okay, the trade that I have is 2017. So yeah, the issues probably came out in 2016.
Yeah. So all right, individual issues 2016, trade come out in 2017. So we're talking the Marvel Han Solo series. Obviously, Star Wars is back in popular culture. I don't think it's ever left, but it's clearly getting some new movies released. You know, we just witnessed The Last Jedi here this past winter. Now something's coming up here, Mark Radulich, and it kind of ties into my next question. Why are we discussing the Han Solo series this evening on Source Material?
Well, as you all know, I'm sure, this Friday is the Solo Star Wars anthology movie. The first anthology movie was Rogue One. It was about how the Rebel Alliance got the Death Star plans, and it bled right into A New Hope with the help of some CGI.
Yeah.
And the Uncanny Valley Princess Leia.
Oh, boy.
That's a Red Letter Media joke. Stole that right from them. Anyway, so the first of the anthology movies was Rogue One. As I said, this is the second anthology movie, and so they are in between trilogy episodes. So Rogue One was in between The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. This one will be in between obviously The Last Jedi and whatever 9 is. Star Wars pissing off the fans. You know, or more than likely, considering how things went, Star Wars the apology.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. So we got Han Solo to talk about tonight, and you grabbed this book because clearly it's tying in with something, and it's a more recent.
We did Princess Leia last year, and we did that to sort of celebrate the passing of Carrie Fisher. Yep. It would only make sense that with a movie about the early years of Han Solo, we would do a book that was dedicated solely to him. This is a 5-issue limited series that deals with one of his adventures, just like the one they did with Princess Leia. There's one for Lando, and I'm sure when Donald Glover gets his movie, we'll do that one as well.
Oh yeah.
There's a Chewbacca one. I mean, almost every single character has their own like limited series.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it's a fun way. It's a fun way for the comics to expand on the universe, just like the books did. Timothy Zahn, right? Did you read the Zahn stuff? Any of the Zahn books?
oh yeah, the Zahn trilogy, absolutely. Yeah. I read all those novels. They were great.
So, you know, the Star Wars universe isn't just limited to movies, ladies and gentlemen. Believe it or not, there's other media out there. And, of course, Disney owning Marvel and the Star Wars franchise, they're going to take they're going to give some writers over at Marvel the opportunity to maybe shed some light on some other adventures that these characters have taken. So here's Han Solo. Now, Mark, would you agree that Han Solo is probably one of the most popular characters to come out of the Star Wars franchise? I mean, where would you place him? Let's say, is Darth Vader top and then Han Solo second, or where is he at?
I think that's in very individualized things. Look, some of us connect to Luke Skywalker. Obviously, a lot of girls connect to Princess Leia. Some connect to Padme from the prequel trilogy. Nobody connects to Anakin.
Everyone loves Jar Jar, from what I hear.
yeah, exactly. No, but I think Darth Vader is probably one of the most iconic villains of all time. I think most people know at least the existence of Darth Vader. But as far as the most popular character in the Star Wars universe, like I said, I think that's very individualized. You know, when you're playing Star Wars, some of us want to be the cool Han Solo character. Some of us want to be the space wizard, Luke Skywalker, or, you know, Obi-Wan Kenobi or something like that. Again, a lot of the girls relate to Princess Leia or Padme. You know, and then only the cool people, the really cool people, want to be Boba Fett.
Yeah, buddy. Well, that says a lot for the franchise itself. When you could put out a movie or a series of films where everybody has the opportunity to like someone more than the other, and they will gravitate towards one character and another person may gravitate towards another.
You know how popular Star Wars is?
Tell me.
So a plot detail from the very first movie, right? Rebels had gotten a hold of the blueprints of the Death Star, and they used it to plan an attack on the Death Star and blow it up.
Yep.
Star Wars is so popular, they took that plot element and made an entire movie out of it. An entire movie out of one single plot point. And that movie did so well. I believe it made over $1 billion in the year that it came out.
Wow.
A movie where you know how it ends.
Yep. You already knew years before.
They get the plans. I mean, there were a lot of people making fun of that idea. But like I said, it speaks to the popularity of Star Wars that people will gravitate to anything, to any movie. I mean, even this Solo movie, you know, it started off pretty rocky. They had to send their lead back to acting school. They had to fire the old directors and bring on Ron Howard, rather. And he had to reshoot like 80% of the movie. And yet this thing is still slated to do extremely well this summer. Disney's making all the money.
Yeah. Yes, they are. Every bit of it. My
So gosh. Like I said, I think that speaks to, you know, so if you slap the logo Star Wars on something, I think people will gravitate towards it. And I don't know how well these comics sell versus the vast array of comics that are out there. But I would tell you that people who don't normally collect comics probably still went out of their way to collect the Star Wars comics because it's Star Wars.
Yeah, and also we've been told if you know a lot about the if you know a little bit about the comics and maybe about some of the statements that they have said, these comics are the canon now. This is what you're seeing here is the canon. They took the Zahn books that we just mentioned, right? And they threw those out the window, didn't they?
They threw all the books out the window. Well, I stopped reading them.
Yeah, and that's tough to do. But if you know that it's going to be part canon, that might be a selling point for sure. So, well, let's get into the creative team here real quick. There is okay. So this creative team, this is very interesting. I thought because I did a little bit of digging yesterday. The writer is a lady. Oh my goodness, homina. A very beautiful lady by the name of Marjorie Liu, and she was according to here, she's born in 1979, and she has. It looks like to me she got her writing chops doing a lot of novels at first. She is Dirk and Steel series. She wrote book 1 through 11 of those. The Hunter Kiss series. None of these I heard because reading's for dummies. If it ain't got pictures, it ain't got Starcher reading it. Okay. That makes me sound real intelligent. But no, I mean,
you're saying that to the guy whose phrases books are for burning.
So, she's definitely wrote some novels, some novellas, but she's also got some comic writing chops as well. She wrote Dark Wolverine, number 75 through 90, and a little bit of an interesting tidbit.
What is Dark Wolverine? Was Wolverine too happy?
Have you ever heard of Daken, Wolverine's son?
No, the band Daken, yes.
No, okay. Daken, I believe is how you spell his name. Me and Ronnie actually did a what if story that focused on Daken. But yes, here you go.
The band?
No, Mark, stay with me now. We're still talking comics. This is not the Metal Hammer of Doom, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry.
When we cover, yeah. So Daken here, I'm just reading straight from the wiki here. Daken is a fictional supervillain.
The band?
Shut up, Mark Radulich. No, he's Wolverine's son, and I believe in the What If series that we read, and I can't say I've read much anything else with him in it, but who was his first wife's name? Was it Mariko?
I believe it was Whitesnake.
Oh, never mind. So anyway, 15, 16 issues of Dark Wolverine. She wrote X-23, Black Widow, and Astonishing X-Men. So she's got some mutant related titles, a lot of mutant related titles here, a lot of stuff revolving around Wolverine. But here's the neat thing about Marjorie Liu. Marjorie Liu, she was going to be a lawyer at first and became disenfranchised with it and instead said, screw it, I want to write comics. Now, that's a girl I can respect. I'll tell you that right now.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, all right. And just to kind of quote here, how, she's going into this story. I pulled this off of Comic Vine. And this is quote straight from her. It says, basically, I was told that the story takes place between episodes 4 and 5. So that's what you're getting tonight, guys. A story that takes place between episodes 4 and 5 of the Star Wars series.
It seems like a lot of these that we've looked at are all books that take, because the Princess Leia one was right after A New Hope.
Right. It took place. I mean, like the panel had that final shot and the New Hope in there.
Right.
So, yes, I was told that the story takes place between episodes 4 and 5, and then they sort of just let me loose. I turned in several different ideas, but the core of them, what I kept at the front of my imagination, he's this working class dude, talking about Han Solo, who lives paycheck to paycheck, who has a business to run. He's the Han we know and love. He's a con artist. He's a smuggler. He's this wisecracking, streetwise dude that he's got this internal conflict, but he's got this internal conflict where there wasn't one before. He's really trying to figure out who he is. So now that comes up in here, I believe, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, near the end. But there you go. That's Marjorie Liu's take on how she was. Go ahead.
I believe she also said that Han Solo was a grinner, a lover, a sinner. That he was playing music in the sun. But he's a joker, a smoker,
and a midnight toker.
Yes. And he gets his loving on the run.
Okay. Those
great parables. Did you know that in many of the canon books, that have come out since The Force Awakens, that Han Solo was once known as the gangster of love, but some people called him Maurice.
Oh, no.
Once again, because he's a picker, a grinner,
oh,
a lover, and a sinner, Jesse Starcher. He's playing music in the sun aboard the Millennium Falcon. You might also call him a joker, a smoker, and a midnight toker.
Has the joke reached its end yet?
And he doesn't want to.
Just this infinite loop of torture.
And despite it all, he doesn't want to hurt no one.
Okay, all right. Marjorie Liu, I'm looking at this picture from 2012. And to change the subject here, I want everybody to understand how beautiful this lady is. Oh crap! Now, see, I want to say Jessica Alba. That's not her name. What's Jessica Biel? She reminds me much of a Jessica Biel. It's like almost like her twin sister or something. But anyway, all right, here we go. Mark Brooks, changing the subject, going on to artistry.
Mel Brooks,
not Mel Brooks. No, not Mel Brooks. Well, I'm sure you'll quote him tonight at some point. Which I still have homework to do, by the way. I haven't watched a single one of them damn references that you posted to my wall. They're still there. Don't worry. I'll get to them. I promise. All right. So Mark Brooks has worked on Marvel Age, Cable and Deadpool, Ultimate X-Men. He provided cover art for the Spider-Man spinoff, Anya Corazon, Aranya, The Heart of the Spider, and later worked on The Amazing Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, New X-Men, The Initiative, and Secret Empire. So it looks like he's been around since, man, I want to say 2009, at least the late 2000s. So, okay, let's get the party started once again. Let's get to it. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to synopsis. Then Mark, you got your likes, your criticisms. I'll try and do the same here, and then maybe we'll talk a little bit about the upcoming movie, what we expect, and things of that nature. Just sit back, relax as I tell you a tale coming straight out of the heart of the Empire. All right, here we go. It is a period of unrest in a galaxy of prey. I might put the Star Wars crawl music as I read this. It is a period of unrest in a galaxy oppressed by the Empire's unrelenting brutality. There's little hope for change. Remember, this takes place between episodes 4 and 5. Nonetheless, rebels have banded together to fight back against such corruption. While the rebellion grows in power, Imperials fight to crush any hope for an overthrow. With the Empire's hands full, the opportunities for crime are endless. Han Solo has taken a step back from the rebel cause, returning his focus to what he does best, smuggling. Untrusting by nature, he's skeptical of any who cross his path. Unfortunately for him, he cannot stay under the radar forever. And when Princess Leia approaches him with an offer too good to refuse, Han finds himself once again working for the rebellion alongside his co-pilot, Chewbacca. His mission...
What a Wookiee! Oh, Chewbacca!
What would a Wookiee do? His mission is racing the Millennium Falcon in one of the most notorious races in the galaxy, the Dragon Void, which is probably a name of at least one metal song out there. The Dragon Void, as a cover to find a mysterious rebel spy who may have turned traitor. But with the race's explosive start, Han discovers he may be in for more than he bargained for. Soon, Han is just one of 4 pilots remaining in the race. Han finally finds the informant, a rebel spy named Bot, who's not a robot, ladies and gentlemen, but he's named Bot, and brings him aboard the Falcon. But when Han finds the next target, he quickly discovers that Chewbacca and the mysterious rebel spy by the name of Dore, a lady feline character, I guess that's probably the best way. It looks like a humanoid cat, by the name of Dore, have an old score to settle. But setting their differences aside, Han picks up another informant at the same site, a person by the name of Aran and their bodyguard, Uil. After a series of close run-ins with the Empire, all 3 Alliance informants and potential traitor are finally now aboard the Falcon. Now Han must discover the identity of the spy while completing the race. But the traitor has already started killing, as Aran is found dead in, it looks like I don't know if it's a break room or whatever. He's just laying there dead. After further investigation, Han figures out that Bot, the unassuming alien that was his first pickup, was the killer. And after stating that fact in front of the rest of the crew, Bot leaps forward, intent to kill Han, but is unsuccessful. It is soon surmised Bot was actually brainwashed to do the killing. It did not know what he was doing. Meanwhile, as other racers are forced to make a decision on halting the race at the insistence of an overwhelming at the overwhelming forces of the Empire, Han sacrifices his chance at winning, allowing a fellow racer by the name of Lu-Ray Ano, who he had grown to know and respect, win the race. And when all was thought was lost, let's try again. When all was thought lost, Lu instantly returned with her people, allowing the racers to escape and Han to complete his mission. So that is all 5 issues of this series in a nutshell. Now, what I didn't really get into, which I think is really the heart of the book, is Han's interaction with Lu-Ray Ano, this other racer, this fish-like being who is supposedly the last of her species. And there's a lot of, like, I don't know, I want to call it heart-to-heart, I guess I would say, that Han has with this character. So let me just ask you real quick. I mean, would you say that if anything extra that this series had to offer would be that those heart-to-hearts that they were having? Like, it seemed like they were kind of exploring Han's what would I say? Not exploring his loner side of things. Han's this loner. He's this guy that's always he watches out for himself. Am I right there?
Yeah, I think the most standout aspect of this book was the fact that his confidence is shook at the beginning of it. This really had a very cinematic quality to it, not only because it was a great space race, but also because at the beginning you have a hero whose confidence has been broken. You know, Han won't take any job. There's always
he was very leery. He was very, like, reserved now.
Right. Well, I mean, he's a wanted criminal by the Empire. He's probably one of, he's high up there for his part in the Battle of Yavin. And so he not only owes Jabba the Hutt a bunch of money and there's a bounty on his head, but he's a wanted criminal by the Empire. And so he's paranoid and he has no confidence and he won't take any jobs. And so he's at this crossroads where it's like he's got to do something to make money, but he feels like there's no jobs out there for him because everything is a risk and he doesn't want to get killed.
Yeah, he's a marked man.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, that's an interesting place to find this character who's known for his bravado.
Mm-hmm.
This is the guy who runs through the Death Star chasing a squadron of stormtroopers. This is the guy who charged at a fleet of Star Destroyers and then landed on an asteroid, who flew into an asteroid field.
Yeah.
This is the guy who led the Battle of Endor. He's not a general. He has no military experience, but his bravado and his courage brought him to all of those events.
Yeah.
And we talked before about, like, what characters are popular. Part of what makes Han popular is, it's funny, a bunch of us we're going to talk about this on TV Party tonight and on an upcoming episode. One of the reasons why I think we all liked Cobra Kai was its discussion of what it is to be a man.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you're a kid and you look at Han Solo, unless you're really enamored with the space wizardry stuff that is being a Jedi and Luke Skywalker and all of that, a lot of us looked at Han Solo as kind of a role model. He was a take no shit, cool as the other side of the pillow, space cowboy. And a lot of us looked at him and said, that's who we want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Make our own rules, live our own life, and not be bound by society's rules. And that's where Han is when you meet him in A New Hope, and that's really where Han is when you see him in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. That's not where he is at the beginning of this comic.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really fascinating. And it, you know, and I never thought Han was the most well-developed character. Han to me was always, you know, I made this joke about Denzel Washington in Training Day on an episode of On Trial, you know, but the character that Denzel Washington plays in Training Day is all dick and balls. He's just dick and balls all over the screen. Okay. I said this on Trial. It was as if his only direction, his only acting direction in that movie was take off your pants and swing your dick around and recite dialogue. And eventually they just used the takes where he had his pants on. But and that was kind of the way Harrison Ford, you know, George Lucas had directed or not directed, as the case may be, Han Solo. It was like Harrison Ford just was all charisma. He was all charisma and no character. He's just kind of is a force of nature in the in those three movies. There's not, you know, Luke's the one that goes on the hero's journey. Han's just kind of there. But he's so cool, it doesn't matter. And I mean, you know, some would argue that, you know, well, Han starts off as this sort of scoundrel character, and you know, he has the he's the pirate with a heart. You know, he comes to love Leia and everything else. But again, I think, you know, I don't know how well developed really that is. This is a much richer iteration of Han Solo, I thought. And I was much more interested in his story once they started him off as sort of a broken man. Yeah.
Finding his place. I think that's one of the things that Marjorie said was he was trying to find his, let me see if what that quote was again. She said that he was trying to figure out who he was. And I brought up the whole interaction with Lou Ray. Boy, now I see I gotta, when you add, I can do two names fine, but when you had a third one in there, I don't know. Lou Rayano. Liu Kang showed up, bicycle kicked the shit out of him. Lou Rayano, the last of her species, fighter, or excuse me, the pilot. Fish girl. So, you know, I'm looking at this issue 4 here, where, you know, he kind of has a discussion with her. Han Solo as a lone, that's kind of the guy we got to know. He's a loner, and especially in I think in that first movie, he is like, he doesn't care but other than what he wants. You know, he wants some money. If he's going to do something for somebody else, he better get something out of it. I think his interaction with the fish face racer is a great way to kind of make him realize that he needs to be a part of a family, because she's like this. I don't know if there's a Yoda character in this comic, it's her. She's the one with all the great knowledge. She's the one that speaks kind of in riddles and makes you kind of realize, okay, well, you know, look at what's around you and actually understand what's going on. And she's talking about how, you know, she's racing and part of this and taking part of this race. And Han's like, well, you know, if you get out of it, what do you get out of that? And I think that's one of the things that she actually asked him. What do you get out of this when you win this race? And he's like, it's money. You know, you win a lot of money, but she's like, well, you got to understand, you're taking this adventure with these other people. You're taking this adventure with these other racers, and you become somewhat of like a family, I would say. It is this adventure you take with everybody else, even though everybody else is kind of cutthroat. And, you know, there's a couple guys throughout this race that are, one of the guys is, you know, they're just out to win it, but still, regardless, the race is what it's all about, and enjoying and doing this is where it's at, and the people, and living it up with the people that you're with. So anyway, long story short, you know, that's kind of the thing I got out of it. It was like, okay, here's his here's his maturation, I guess you would say, and the understanding that the people that he's surrounded with, this might be the seed for him understanding that Luke, Leia, and C-3PO, even though there's points where he can't stand him, Obi-Wan Kenobi, which obviously he died in the first movie, but you know, all this great adventure he's been on throughout the Star Wars movies, he's coming to realize that these are people that he is bound with and can consider a family. So there's my long-winded explanation of what I kind of took out of it as for Han Solo's character development when it comes to this. Also, I mean, let me just ask you this. Hold on. I had the question, but it done left me. I mean, you like, what was more compelling to you, the race or what was the aspect of this, the race, the traitor? Was there anything that felt kind of like it stood out to you more that you were more interested in? Did you want? I tell you what, I definitely wanted him to win the race. I didn't care about the mission. I wanted him to win the race.
Well, I thought that was the fun aspect of this thing, was that he was never meant to win the race, and he was like, no, if I'm going to be in it, I'm going to win it, you know, and trying to figure out a way to, you know, to save both the girl and Robin.
Yeah.
You know, this is a Batman reference, everybody.
I hear you. I get it.
All right, good. Moving on, because he's a picker. And
no, don't make me say no when I got a mouthful of water. Because I can't say it. Instead, I start humming along with you, and you think I'm singing with you. Go. Crash test dummies reference.
There was this girl who. Sorry. Anyway, it's not a source material podcast until I start singing.
Oh, that's the truth.
But anyway, I like the race aspect of it. I like the fact that I don't think you could have had one without the other in this story. My only real complaint about it is that the mystery of who the traitor was. First of all, I saw
right through that shit.
Yeah, I was like, it's gonna be the pansy alien. It has to be.
Yeah.
But then their reasoning was like, oh, he was Winter Soldiered. You know, he was hypnotized. I would have liked a little further explanation, a little further exploration of that part of the story. They kind of rushed through that. It was like, well, we have to address this in some way. He's hypnotized and he has a needle in his arm, and we're done. Like, all right.
Yeah.
I also would have liked to have seen a better payoff. You know, it's like, when they get the Death Star blueprint, you actually see what they have. You know, you see what the effect is of why they were risking all of these lives to get this battle station blueprint. There was a visible payoff.
You see nothing about that here.
Yeah, it was like, oh, it's a list, and that's it.
Here's your list.
Yeah, here's your grocery list. We need butter, we need egg, we need blue milk. You know, all right.
Straight squoze from alien titty.
The re-titty vulture. No, nipples.
Keep those universes separate, please. That's the last thing we need.
It's the last unicorn we need.
It is.
I made a last unicorn joke today at work. There was a guy who was banging his head on the cell door, and he ended up in the restraint chair. So when I saw him hours later, he had this huge bruise and knot on his forehead. And I said to the sergeant, I'm just like, he was like, hey, did you see what's his face and who was in the restraint chair? And I'm like, yeah, and I also saw who his unicorn horn was.
Well, you succeeded, sir, because you've just probably told the joke or made the reference where nobody gets it except for you.
You know what the funny thing about that was? It's like, it was a funny enough phrase that it got a laugh, despite the fact that he did not understand the reference. Like, aha, unicorn, because he's got a bump on his head. I get it. It's the last unicorn joke, which I'm sure he's never seen.
I hope everybody just one day takes a page out of my book, and everybody you interact with makes you explain every reference that you make.
You know, that already happens. No one understands the fuck I'm talking about. I spent half my life explaining myself.
Still haven't learned.
Nope.
All right.
Look, I don't need to get on the world's page. You all need to get on mine.
Oh, is that how it works? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Gotcha. So, okay. So that was your criticism. I would almost, man, I don't want to echo your criticism because, yeah, I knew who this was going to be right out at the beginning. How about the little glow ball thingies that kept following Han around? I mean,
that had a payoff to it. It was fine. I mean, I just, I prefer traditional story structures. I prefer if you introduce things, pay them off, give them a reason for being in the story. Just don't introduce something and be like, here's a fun thing that I threw out there. Like everything should be working. Everything should be working towards furthering the story. And the little light bright, glow ball things actually move the story forward in a way. So
okay.
I was fine with that.
How about the Stargate at the end? did that feel like it fit?
I feel like you've asked me that question before. This is not the first time we've dealt with a Stargate.
I've not asked you anything about a Stargate before on this podcast.
No, you have. Oh my God, I'm having deja vu because I feel like we've had this conversation and you keep saying you've never brought up a Stargate before, and I keep telling you have.
I don't. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I mean, Stargate in a Star Wars episode or Star Wars book. I mean,
it's fantasy. I mean, they can throw anything they want. Dude, they threw like a space squid in there.
They did, which was pretty cool. It was like a space jellyfish that pops out of nowhere.
Yeah, which made me think. Like, I'm wondering if this, because in the trailers for the Solo movie, there's like some sort of space octopus, and I'm wondering, and I was looking to see if there was any, if the script for the movie influenced this story at all, or this story at all influenced the script. But the script was written like years ago.
Huh.
By I believe Lawrence Kasdan's son.
Very well could have been. Were there any characters in here that, other than Han and Chewie and some of the standards, that were like, surprise, you've heard of this one, this is a deep cut character, none of that, like that? No. Doré, has she ever appeared in anything before?
Maybe. I feel like I've seen her before, but not enough that it would that I could remember.
Well, they ended that on like a cliffhanger too of I think like issue 3, and I was like, am I supposed to be like oh shit, that's Catface? I didn't know who the hell it was.
Oh my God, it's one of the Thundercats. How bad does that Cartoon Network Thundercats show look? By the way,
man,
Thundercats Roar.
I have not seen any trailer or anything like that. All I've seen is media on Facebook and pictures left and right. The most recent one, though, was the original Lion-O holding the head of the new and improved, if you want to call it that. It's not an improved in any way, but the new Lion-O's head in his hand. So
here's the problem with this whole thing. Like, if independent of anything else, if I show that to like my son, he'll probably love it.
He's gonna love it.
He loves Teen Titans Go. So is my daughter.
Yes.
And so it's that style of animation. It's that style of storytelling. I bet he'll fall in love with it. Now, then I show him the real Thundercats, and he's like, nah. First of all, if I reacted poorly to Mum-Ra turning from a mummy to, crazy screaming unicorn Mum-Ra, I don't think she's going to handle it well either.
Well, that shit, I mean, that stuff is going to be so tame now compared to what we were used to as kids.
There's not Rankin and Bass creating a nightmare factory.
No, it is not. Hold on a second here. Do they have a trailer for this? Thundercats.
Oh my God. Wait, if you do, we got to go into watch together.
I've already got it set up. I'm going to send you the link.
Oh, here we go.
I just got to, oh my, 3 minutes. The official announcement trailer, 3 minutes and 13 seconds long.
Yes, send me that shit.
All right, here we go.
Give me that shit, you fucking ball-headed bastard.
It's coming, bro. All right, let me invite you here first. I got to invite.
God damn it.
Where am I at? I'm over here.
Remember we were talking about Star Wars?
Yeah, well, fucking
Thundercats are on the move. Thundercats are loose. Boop.
And I have no idea.
Feel the roar. Thundercats are loose. Boop. Thunder, 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 Thundercats. Thunder, 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 Thundercats.
And okay. What was that? There you are.
Here I am.
Now let me figure. There we go. All right, I'm pasting it in there. Oh yeah, I gotta hit. Okay, here we go. I'm hitting play. 3, 2, 1, and go. No, you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I do. This is
magic.
This is all lies. Every little bit of this is lies.
Are we magic slicing stick? We can't say sword.
No. Nope. Oh, so we're going to have so it's 3 minutes of people. Oh, this guy he's completely influenced by horrible shit, and then he's decided to really. Okay, everything that you need to know about this fucking thing is on the top of this dude's head.
Yup. Oh my god. Someone cut off his top knot. You're not a kender.
It's not even a knot, dude. Is it? All it is a fucking ponytail. All that is a ponytail on the top of his head. Listen, you can. Yes. But fuck the show? Is that how it works? I'm just going to make a good show.
Make an awesome intro and a nothing show.
Oh boy, people are already upset about this.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I'm sure people are like ready to burn down the studio. But again, it's not meant for anyone that remembers the original Thundercats. This is meant for little kids.
Well, I had no idea this was going to be an interview with the creators. I'm looking for anything else on the YouTube list that'll give us an idea as to. We have Thundercats Roar trailer reaction, but there's no actual trailer other than what we're watching.
Here we go.
Remember when Lino talked like that in the cartoon?
He didn't, sir.
He sounds like fucking Putty from Seinfeld. It's the Tick. Now, here's the thing. We could be bitching about this, and it might be one of the funniest things ever put on TV. But Thundercats was not meant to be a comedy.
Ugh. Fucking ugh. I want to go wake one of my kids up now and be like, here, watch this. Tell me what you think.
All right. Did you shut your watch together down?
Yes.
He was so disgusted. Immediately left the room. As soon as it ended, you went offline.
I'm ready to stop this podcast at this point. Can we get the plugs?
We've got to get back. Okay. Let me see. Just real quick. I mean, we talked about what we liked about the story. We talked about criticisms, and you kind of already discussed what you got out of the story. So let's talk about the movie. And I mean, what do you want to see? Have you watched a lot of the trailers? Have you looked into spoilers?
Trailers, yes. Spoilers, not so much. Not like the Deadpool spoilers that I read to you online.
Motherfucker.
Turns out they were true.
Yes, it does.
So I don't know a tremendous amount about this movie. I know it's going to be like a heist. It's supposed to be like a.
Oh, he's like a smuggler, man. It's got to be.
It's essentially it's supposed to be it's the great train robbery in space.
Have you heard much of the reaction, or they haven't released like? Have they done? Oh
It's
shit!
currently at 70% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's what I was looking for. Rotten Tomatoes score 70%. That's kind of low.
Yeah. I think a lot of the critics are just kind of over Star Wars at this point. Yeah, it's at 71.
Okay.
Which, by comparison, Deadpool's at 83, Avengers is at 84, Life of the Party 39, Breaking In 25. So there you go. Rampage 52.
Well, and I've heard Rampage was
But Cobra Kai 100%.
Well, fuck yes. Now we're dealing with people who know what they're talking about.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I enjoyed the book. I mean, what do you say? Do you think this is something that is absolutely necessary for a Han Solo fan to get their hands on?
Yeah, I think if you're a Star Wars fan, I would highly recommend this book. This was an excellent story. I remember when we did the Princess Leia one, and we all, and other than Ivan,
oh, shit.
Other than the great laughs it produced, because of Ivan.
Gag reels aplenty.
Yeah, gag reels aplenty. It was so simple of a story. Like I remember us all being kind of nonplussed about it. This one I was actually excited to talk about. There was really something here for me to dig into. And so for a 5-issue miniseries, one story told over 5 issues, I thought it was great. I thought it was great fun. I thought it was very cinematic. This is something I would like to see on the big screen or on a television show. And so that all works for me. And I thought it was a great way to handle the character. I think making Han vulnerable and having him overcome that vulnerability was a great take on the character.
All right, very good. Well, I enjoyed it. I'm not a Star Wars fan other than, I enjoy watching the movies. I'm definitely not as hardcore as a lot of the other friends that I know. But I would say Han Solo is one of my top characters that I've always loved from these films. So there is something to offer here, I think, for somebody to understand where Han Solo is coming from, especially in the setting that we're talking about here between episodes 4 and 5. And clearly, if you're a purist and you want to know what's in canon and you've got to know everything out there that's possibly or potentially canon for the Star Wars universe, you'll want to get your hands on this and read it. So, all right, very good. Well, let's get into plugs, man. Let's hear what the schedule has in store for us.
All right. For those of you who are listening to this on YouTube before it gets released in its edited form on the 28th of May, today, the 21st of May, our source material Deadpool versus X-Force show dropped. Of course, that's synergizing with our Damn You Hollywood review of Deadpool 2, which will air on May 22nd. On May 23rd is our coverage of Five Finger Death Punch, and to gear up for that, we have released a series of Metal Hammer of Doom extras featuring 3 separate Five Finger Death Punch videos: Bad Company, The Way of the Fist, and Champagne.
Yeah.
And just added to the calendar on Thursday. Now, I don't typically want to do 4 shows a week anymore. 4 long shows like this, I don't mind the micro shows as much, but 4 long shows tends to be a bit tiresome for me. But I'm so excited about Cobra Kai and so are our guests that are going to be coming on the show. One of which here is Jesse. Another one is from our Canadian office, Andrew Graham, and from our totally 80s correspondent, Pat Mullen. We're all very excited about Cobra Kai. We all just watched it. Pat watched it a few weeks ago, but we all couldn't wait to talk about it. So we're gonna throw another show on the calendar and another shrimp on the bobby. We're gonna do TV Party Tonight, Cobra Kai, May 24th.
You look at that panel, just real quick. You look at that panel. We have, I know you were in martial arts. I was in it for like maybe a year. We know Andrew Graham has been in martial arts, and he still is at this point. And we know that totally 80s Pat Mullen. Not only is he a fan of everything 80s, which makes him perfect for that podcast, but I know
he's an amateur boxer.
Yes. Yeah. So there you go, man. It's going to be some fun. You know what my son was asking me, because I told him I was in karate. He's like, do you have a belt? And I'm like, yes, I do, son. You think I got rid of that gi? You think I got rid of that green belt or that orange belt with the 2 white stripes on it? It's around here somewhere. So I can't wait to talk about it. It's a great show too, by the way. So
we're going to be getting my son involved in karate very shortly. So.
I think there are a lot of people. If YouTube Red doesn't release this on DVD or does something to let a lot more people get a hold of it, it's a shame, because it would probably spike a lot of karate memberships.
I was gonna say, I really want to go back now and do a commentary over the Karate Kid. It's a great movie.
I feel you, dude. I really do. Hopefully we can make some time to do that.
It's actually, I think, available on Amazon Prime.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
So, and then look for anything extra that we might throw up, any commentaries or micro shows. I've got a little personal project of my own. I'm going to do it by myself. I don't want to talk about it just yet until I actually do it. Just, there might be some surprises headed your way on the Rattlesnake Broadcasting Network. Some over dramatizations, if you will.
If you will. There's a local wrestler that introduced a Wheel of Fortune game at a indie show, but it was called the If You Wheel.
Nice. Next week, this show will air in its edited form with gag reel on the Rattlegion Broadcasting Network. It will be synergizing with our Damn You Hollywood review of Solo, a Star Wars story. And then we'll be reviewing on the Metal Hammer of Doom, Galactic Empire 2. So go ahead and give that a shot. Just to let you know what's happening in the month of June. On June 7th, Cloak and Dagger will from the Marvel Studios will be debuting on Freeform. We'll have a Cloak and Dagger show. We're going to look at the trade paperback called Lost and Found, which I think is like one of the first runs of Cloak and Dagger, if I remember correctly. So check. Fuck, keep losing my place in the calendar. So check that out. We'll have a Cloak and Dagger ready to go up the same week Cloak and Dagger debuts on Freeform. Alexis Hana hopefully will be back with us on June 11th for Kingdom Come.
Yeah, there was a lot of interest for that book.
And that same week will be. Have you kept up on Krypton? Are you going to be ready to talk about it on
June 12th? Yeah, well, I can tell you I have not watched one episode, but I will be ready, sir.
Okay. I binge watched almost the entire season, and this Wednesday, I believe, is the season finale.
Do you want to say have you been intrigued, or?
You know, I was kind of on it. Like, you know, for the most part, I was like, it's fine. You know, it'll be something to talk about. Then there was this discussion that took, you know, I mean, first of all, you're a big fan of time travel.
Yeah, so trust me. I've heard elements of this, like the first couple episodes, and I'm kind of excited.
I don't want to give too much away, but there's a discussion over whether or not they should allow Brainiac to capture Kandor City, which is
that's the one he puts in a bottle and shrinks.
Right. So it's the question: do we prevent the destruction of Kandor City, which will inevitably prevent the rise of Superman, or do we allow it to happen, kill millions of people, but Superman will be born? And then the other question, do we kill Zod, or do we allow him to live?
I cannot wait to get into this stuff. So that sounds fun.
That was the high point of the season. I had to pause it and like tell my wife about it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, she can give a shit. But anyway,
now talk to me about your royal wedding. I'll teach you.
That's right. We're gonna look at Fantastic Four, the Trial of Galactus run, and that's gonna be the same week that we review The Incredibles 2. We've got a Justice League America book called Salvation Run that I got from Ollie's.
Oh yeah, baby.
And we're going to look at that the same week as Jurassic Park, Fallen Kingdom. And you might be asking yourself, not only is this my beautiful house, but
is this my beautiful chair?
But what does Salvation Run have to do with Jurassic World? Absolutely nothing. It was just, I just threw it on the calendar because I didn't know where else to put it. So there.
That's good.
So that's what's going on in the month of June, plus a whole bunch of Metal Hammer of Dooms.
All right. Very good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can go give that Radulich in Broadcasting Network Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great content that we have to offer. That's usually where it's going to be posted at. So all you need to do is go to Facebook, type in RADULICH, find the Radulich in Broadcasting Network Facebook page, give it a like, and anything that comes up, you should have instant access to right there on Spreaker.com. That's where we call our home, but we're also on all sorts of different platforms, podcast platforms, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio. I use a podcast grabber. I don't know what the hell they call them, an app called Overcast. It's great. And you can subscribe to us and get everything right there automatically. So check that out, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's about it. I'm ready to get off of here. And this is, let me just remind you, ladies and gentlemen, when you do a 3-hour training, do a 3-hour training. Okay. Don't just bring me in there, feed me pizza and smile and then BS your way out of it. And then try to tell me you're going to do another 3-hour training some other day. Fuck off. Have a good one. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Mark Radulich. My name is Jesse Starcher. Source Material out. Okay.